Namaskar, hello and welcome viewers. You're watching the special presentation of Sansad TV, Bills and Acts, where we analyze bills that impact you, acts that empower you, and programs that matter to you. I'm your host Kriti Mishra, and today the spotlight is on the protection of human rights in India. Before the detailed analysis, let's take a look at the highlights. The Protection of Human Rights Act 1993 came into force with retrospective effect from September 28, 1993. The Parent Act was amended in 2019 to provide that a person who has been Chief Justice of the Supreme Court or a judge of the Supreme Court will be the chairperson of the NHRC. The Protection of Human Rights Act 1993 defines human rights as the rights relating to life, liberty, equality and dignity of the individual guaranteed by the Constitution or embodied in the international covenants and enforceable by courts in India. Human rights belong to everyone, everywhere, regardless of nationality, sexuality, gender, race, religion, or age. The foundation of modern human rights is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The 30 articles of the Declaration were adopted in 1948 by the UN General Assembly, and over time, these have been integrated into national laws and international treaties. The core values are human dignity, fairness, equality, non-discrimination. The National and the State Human Rights Commission in India are the embodiment of India's concern for the promotion and protection of human rights. And to analyze the impact of the Parent Act and the Amendment Act, along with the scope of improvement, I'm joined by a very illustrious panel of guests. Joining us in the studio, Justice M.M. Kumar, Member, National Human Rights Commission. Also joining us in the studio, Poonam Mattreja, Executive Director, Population Foundation of India. She has been the founder of several NGOs focusing on leadership, rights and livelihood. And joining us through virtual platform, Vandana Chavanji. She is Member of Parliament representing the NCP in the Upper House. She is a very erudite speaker voicing concern on rights of women and children. And also joining us in the studio, young students and young professionals. I welcome all of you on Sansad Television and thank you so much for joining us. And Justice Kumar, let me begin the program with you. Now, NHRC has been the watchdog of human rights in India. We also saw the Amendment Act in 2019. Sir, how has this act empowered NHRC and what's the way ahead?
Since 1993, the National Human Rights Commission has been actively providing support and protection to the human rights victim. Section 12 to 20 are the key section of the Act which provide for the basic function to be discharged by the National Human Rights Commission. According to Section 12, a complaint can be filed before the National Human Rights Commission by the victim of violation of human rights or by a human rights activist or even by any other person stating the violation of human rights by an individual or by the state agency. Then there is a provision also for taking suo motu notice by the National Human Rights Commission of any violation of human rights on the basis of press reports, on the basis of radio, television reports, and we have been taking notice of, for example, in Telangana, there was a rape and murder of a minor girl, and the dead body of the victim was kept in the house of the rapist. We took notice suo motu of that incident, and then on the top of that, one minister started making proclamation that the rapist will meet false encounter, and the dead body of the rapist was found on the railway track. Ultimately, you see how the constitutional machinery, how the fundamental rights, how the basic human rights of people are violated, and how NHRC is acting as a watchdog of these rights. Now, the Commission has huge power to issue summons, even warrant, forcing the attendance of the officers who are responsible for giving direction to their officers. We issue notices to the Chief Secretary, to the Secretary of the State of the concerned department, so on and so forth. And one unique feature of National Human Rights Commission is a directive issued in 2011. Any custodial death, any type of custodial death has to be reported to the Human Rights Commission within 24 hours.
Right.
No matter for what reason a person serving sentence, a person who is during investigation is found dead at a police station, within 24 hours such a death has to be reported to us. The second type of cases are uncounted deaths. Within 48 hours, uncounted deaths have to be reported to us. The reason is delay result into evaporation of evidence.
Right.
So we then go into the various aspects that how the death has taken place, whether it is the result of torture, whether it is a result of false encounter, all those gamut has to be gone into by the commission. The third salient feature, I think, which is unique, world over, I think the National Human Rights Commission stands out. We have an independent investigation wing, which is headed by a Director General of Police. Another thing which I will say, that commission when finds that there is violation of human rights, departmental inquiry against the erring officer is initiated. Sometime the officer is removed from service. Sometime stoppage of increment is the punishment awarded. Sometime reversion from a higher rank to the lower rank. All those things happen.
Right. So we'll just analyze the impact of this on the ground. But before that, Vandana ji, the right to a fair hearing is universally recognized and documented in national constitutions, regional and international human rights instruments as well. How do we ensure legal protection and awareness of human rights?
It is very important that awareness is created amongst the stakeholders, especially the women of this country. Most of the laws which have been enacted for the protection of women are related, actually all those rights are human rights,
Yes.
which a woman really gets from the protection of these enactments. But however, we have seen that there is very less knowledge about these laws, there is very less awareness about these laws. These laws are meant to protect the women, however, the women don't know about it.
Yes.
And therefore, I think the legal aid services is mandated to create awareness. But I think we need to go into the awareness process to a higher level.
Since we're talking about NHRC, Poonam ji, I'd like to understand. Of course, one would have to agree that NHRC has contributed immensely towards the protection of human rights in the country and also state commissions as well. But then there are lapses, there are challenges as well. So, analyzing the structure, what are the remedial measures that you suggest?
Yeah, so I absolutely am very happy to hear from an eminent serving member of NHRC that he feels very, that the institution is strong, not only gives power and authority, but also legal enactment and rights. So I was aware of that, but hearing from a serving member is an absolute music to my ears. Having said that, yes, NHRC has done some historical work.
Yes.
But there are, of late, in the last several years, we are seeing increasingly the NHRC as well as Women's Commission and other institutions, I think they are struggling with their autonomy from the outside. Some may differ with me. And when I say struggling with autonomy, I know that there are no better people than our retired judges and the judiciary, which is one of the highest standards in the world. They know best what is being violated and what is not being violated. And I am sure it is difficult to acknowledge, but as an outsider, as somebody working on human rights, interacting with people in human rights,
Yes.
we find that they need greater in spirit. In paper they have, in spirit they need total autonomy. Second, in India, a lot of human rights violations are, I know NHRC can't do everything, but there is at least literacy and working with members of parliament across party lines. You know, we've had problems as human rights activists with every government. And not just in India, this happens across the world.
Right.
So India is no exception. But why is it that we are seeing a lot of violations, not only human rights violations, which a lot of our political leadership doesn't understand? You know, all political parties, all politicians need to understand what is human rights and not fear human rights. The problem I identify with the problem NHRC and other human rights bodies have, because in India, human rights are not understood. They are abused. They are seen as anti-government, but they are a part of a constitution.
Right.
Human rights are part of a constitution, and let's not see human rights as anti-government. It is strengthen the country's democracy. Unless there is greater, not just autonomy, but every individual in not just NHRC and other agencies, but every politician and bureaucrat and citizen also has an obligation. And the obligation is to understand human rights, do their obligations and practice, and not be critical of those who work on human rights. We put them in jail sometimes. And
Right.
the human rights defenders always go to NHRC to be
Yes.
protected. And I think that protection has to increase. We have too many good people in jail. I'm not bothered about the bad people in jail.
Right. Take some questions from our audience here. Please go ahead, introduce yourself and speak your mind.
Section 3, Clause 2, 3 and 4 defines the composition of NHRC and gives it an autonomous and civil jurisdiction. Then why are we getting redressal and remedies so late? And why is it that we have to go again back to the precedents that were given by our judges to again correct it? And that takes a lot of time. So that disturbs the mentality of the victim for filing a case. And why are we not taking autonomous cognizance in those matters which need very real speedy trials?
Well, cases where which are pending before the courts, NHRC is entitled to intervene with the permission of the court, even in the trial case court, High Court or Supreme Court. And if you look at the number of complaints which we receive daily, on my desk 3-4 complaints come which involves rape of a minor and in some cases killing of the minor. It is soul stirring when I go through these complaints and when I pass the orders. NHRC has on its own so much of work. The members presently are 4.
Yes.
There are 4 members. Total members are required to be 6. So you can imagine there are limitations. We can attend to the complaints to a particular number. Then these days, for example, we are involved in mental asylum program. All over the country, new act of 2017 has come. We are visiting various places, like we went to Gwalior, we went to Agra, we went to Ranchi. Last week we were in Ranchi. 200-year-old institution, 108-year-old institution, having land spread over 700 acres, 211 acres. Patients who are fit to go home, 300 patients, are still kept in mental asylum.
Right.
So we order the release of those persons who are fit to go home, because there is it is against the principles of law laid down in 2017 Act. So NHRC is involved in so many cases. As you must have heard, the law minister on the other day said that a judge in this country decides how many cases? 30 cases per day.
Exactly. Yes.
There is poor judge population ratio.
Ratio.
We have 28 judges against 1 million,
1 million people.
population.
Yeah.
So this has to be improved. You youngsters have to come forward
Right,
to
sir.
take up the challenge. The number of judges has to increase. The competence has to increase.
Why can't we, sir, take non-judges also as members or at least to work with you? There'll be lots of volunteers and 4 is not enough. I would say even 40 we need.
The Act and the Commission aim at protecting the rights of the individuals, the human rights of the individuals. But I believe that at the end of the day, it all comes down to the mindset of the violators.
Absolutely right that it ultimately goes down to the mindset of the people, which needs to be addressed definitely. But I wish to also bring to your notice, Kriti, through this program, that when we are talking about human rights presently, we are talking mainly about the women's rights, which is
Yes.
absolutely important. But we are forgetting that there are systems in our country which still have not changed. For example, bonded labor is mandated to be banned and is punishable under the law. However, bonded labor exists even today.
Right.
For that matter, manual scavenging is also banned by law. However, manual scavenging still continues in major cities and even in rural areas. So it's not only mindsets of people, it is still the systems in our country which need to be addressed. I think we have to be more sensitive about these issues. And I feel NHRC is doing a wonderful job and rightly said in this program that how much can NHRC do, which is right. How much can they handle? But I think as social activists, we too need to take an initiative to make sure me as a parliamentarian raise voice through the parliamentarian, as a parliamentarian on the floor of the House, to raise this issue through Zero Hour, through different interventions, to make sure that these systems are also taken care of. Now, children is another vulnerable sector. In fact, they are voiceless. Children, child labor, child safety, there are so many issues. NCPCR talks about having safety audits in school. How many states have done it? It's only Delhi, which I believe has done the safety audit of schools. What about the other states? So these are things which probably is not only addressing mindsets, mindsets is absolutely right, no doubt, but also systems in our country which need to change, and for which me as a parliamentarian, me as a social activist, we as citizens need to push this, raise our voice and make changes in that direction. Transgender is another sector which needs to be addressed. We have a law in place, but how much is it being addressed, and how many transgenders are getting the justice that they are supposed to? There are several vulnerable groups which need to be addressed, and our systems need to change. We have the laws. The legislation has given us teeth, but unfortunately, because of lack of awareness and lack of sensitivity, these systems, these forms still continue in our society, which is absolutely demeaning, and it is the basic human right of a person which is being violated.
Very valid point. Let's take the last question.
Human Rights Commission plays a very important role in India. And human rights are in a sense part of a basic structure if we take into consideration. And if any person acts in contravention of our fundamental rights or violates our fundamental rights, in a sense, he violates the basic structure. My question is this, that Chapter 3 provides for powers and functions of the Human Rights Commission. And it brings it on the same ground of a civil court. The powers are like that. My question is, since the powers are like that of civil court, why it should not be made a quasi-judicial body? Because being a commission, it can only give recommendations.
Poonamji, would you like to add to that, and then we take it to Justice Kumar?
Yes. First of all, I agree with you, but should it be made a quasi-judicial body? I will leave it to the learned judge to answer. But they have enough power, I can tell you, and as was described by Justice Kumar too, they have enough power and authority. But the problem is that, as Justice Kumar said, the issues are many that they work on.
The proceeding before the commission are judicial proceedings. This is what the Act says. So there is no question of making it quasi-judicial. The proceedings are judicial proceedings. The question have been raised whether the recommendation, the word recommend has been used in section 18, whether the word recommendation should be used as obligation on the part of the state to obey the orders passed by the National Human Rights Commission, or it is directory. Recently, a full bench of Madras High Court has taken the view that Human Rights Commission cannot pass orders of compensation, cannot award compensation. In a case where a policeman has tortured an accused in custody and he has suffered injuries, amputation of leg, foot, which the cases which we receive also. So we award compensation, say 5 lakh, 10 lakhs. Madras High Court full bench say we are not entitled. Allahabad High Court Division Bench headed by the then Chief Justice Chandrachud said, yeah, no, you cannot say these are not obligatory. These are obligatory. If somebody is aggrieved, state government can file a writ petition.
Right.
So to that extent, our orders are complied with ordinarily. The appeals are pending before the Honorable Supreme Court against the Madras judgment as well as the judgment of the Allahabad High Court.
Right.
Madhya Pradesh also have taken the view which the Madras High Court has taken. So those are legal connotations. But you are right. All the rights which flow from basic structure are within the domain of National Human Rights Commission. We provide speedy remedy. We try to dispose of cases as early as possible. And one thing which I can say with pride, if you visit any country on the globe, India has the best human rights setup, Human Rights Commission setup. We have human rights in 25 states.
Right, sir.
We have National Human Rights Commission. National Human Rights Commission is entitled to look into all violations, list 1, list 2, list 3 of the Constitution. Whereas State Human Rights Commission can look into list 2 and list 3 subjects only. If you go to US, UK, Belgium, Germany, Canada, France, you won't have a setup like this.
Right,
The
right.
infrastructure, the efficiency, the type of training, the investigation wing which we have, we are free from all shackles. When our investigation team go on the spot to investigate and give finding contrary to the state agency, then you should see what happens.
Right, absolutely, sir. We completely agree with you that all the issues are important for ensuring and protecting the rights of people in the country. On that note, thank you so much for joining us, Vandana ji, Poonam ji, and Justice Kumar. We are completely out of time in the show right now, but thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sunset TV. Next week, we'll return with incisive analysis of another important bill or act. Take care. Goodbye for now.